Auto-tune, auto-tune. When I was in the studio, auto-tune, and I couldn't hit the notes, auto-tune. Then someone showed me this plugin, auto-tune, and now I got an instant hit. Hey, shout out GTA, bro. Back in our favorite book, Christina Ghost. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We almost done with it, but we got like one more chapter left for real. Dang, we really got one more chapter left, bro. I'm trying to make sure. Yeah, we really got, like, this is we on chapter 15. 16 is the last chapter. So let's go ahead and hop into this. Let's hop into this video, this book, you feel me? Alright. So yeah. Chapter 15, let's get out of here. Uncle Ralph crossed the parlor in one long leap. He snatched the comic book from Chris' hands and flipped the pages. "He's coming," Chris shrieked. "Listen, the footsteps reached the top of the stairs. He's going to come down," Chris said. "Let's get out of here." "And do you know why he's coming down?" Uncle Ralph demanded hoarsely. "We're getting too close to his secret, that's why." Russell Charles was trying to tell us something. He shook the comic book hard as a glass signed envelope, long and narrow like a bookmark, fell to the floor. "There it is," he shouted. The footsteps started down the stairs. Uncle Ralph dived for the envelope, but before he could pick it up, an icy wind swept the room. The envelope skidded across the carpet. "I'll get it," Chris squealed. She snatched up the envelope and looked around for an escape route. Not the front door. That would mean facing the thing that was on the stairs. She ran to a window. The nearest one was painted shut. She shrugged with the second until Uncle Ralph pushed her aside and jerked it open. "Out you go," he shouted. "Quick!" The cold wind roared around Chris, and the footsteps on the stairs were loud as a thunder. She tumbled through the window out onto the porch. I'm glad I caught it that time. So, where we at right now, they done just made it out. They made it to the car. And now, they in the car with the car on, and the headlights are pointed at the house so they can see the ghost. Just giving a quick update, because I seen that the mic had went out. I'm glad I caught it this time. "He's coming," Chris screamed. "He's coming after us." Uncle Ralph pulled hard on the wheel, and the car shot into the narrow, winding road that led to the highway. The trees formed a tunnel around them, and as the car bounced through it, the branches ahead seemed to bend. Something struck the roof a sharp blow. "He's trying to stop us," Chris cried. "What are we going to do?" Uncle Ralph clutched the steering wheel like a race car driver. "Hang on, sport," he said through clenched teeth. "This is still Dix's territory. Do you have that envelope?" Chris held up the stripe of glassine. "Good, don't wrinkle it." "Wrinkle it," Chris exclaimed. I can hardly hold it. I'm shaking so hard." "Then put it in the glove compartment and go ahead and shake," Uncle Ralph snapped. He winced as a branch scraped across the windshield. "We're almost back to civilization." As he said it, they shot out onto the highway. A semi-trailer truck swerved around them with startling blasts of the horn. "Cool it, bub," Uncle Ralph said. He raced after the truck. The cars were coming toward them now, their lights reassuring in the dark forest far ahead. The lights of a woodland motel twinkled. "We're okay," Uncle Ralph said. "We've made it." But Chris noticed that he didn't slow down, not until the gas station, bait shops, and small shingled houses of clear water began flying past. Did he take his foot off the gas? "There's a little coffee shop right smack in the middle of the town," he said. "We'll go there." Chris thought ghosts didn't show themselves in coffee shops, and did they? When they parked in front of the little restaurant, Chris discovered that her knees were still trembling. She shook as she removed the envelope from the glove compartment, followed Uncle Ralph into the restaurant. Next page. And settled in a high back booth. She laid the glassine envelope in the middle of the table and stared at it across from her. Uncle Ralph wiped his face with his handkerchief. He took deep breaths like a swimmer coming up for air. "You want to open the thing?" Christina asked. "You deserve to. You're the one who got it away from him." "Bro, that's the book. I promise I'm not doing this on purpose." Chris shuddered. She glanced out at the street where tourists strolled, eating ice cream cones and enjoying the soft summer night. She would have liked to be one of them. Walking down Clearwater's main street, eating an ice cream cone was all the adventure she'd ever wanted. Again. "We'll do that tomorrow," Uncle Ralph said, once again seeming to read her mind. "Open that envelope, will you?" Chris worked a grubby fingernail under the envelope's flap. Two strips of stamps slipped out of the table. Two strips of stamps slipped out on the table. There were four silver gray ones with a picture of George Washington. The other strip was made of 5 stamps printed in reddish brown. "Who's that?" Chris asked. Uncle Ralph stared at the stamps in awe. "That's Benjamin Franklin," he said. He touched the strips with a cautious finger. I don't know much about stamps," he said slowly, "but I've seen pictures of both of these, and I've read about them. They're part of a very first stamp issue printed by the United States government. The very first." And she'd carried them in a comic book. They don't have little holes to... Bro, I'm sorry, I cannot see. And I'm trying to keep my eyes on that so I know if the mic go out again, I can see it. Because I ain't got the headphones on, so I can't hear it. They don't have those little holes to help you tear them apart, she pointed out. Maybe they're fakes. Uncle Ralph shook his head. In 1847, when those were printed, the government didn't use perforations. They came later. The fact that these are in such perfect condition and haven't been cut apart makes them especially valuable, I'm sure. Chris was thrilled. She thought of millions of stamps on millions of letters on their way to people all over the country. Finding the first ones was like uncovering a national treasure. The waitress brought Uncle Ralph coffee and the cinnamon apple pie he ordered. Chris had a chocolate milkshake and a cheese sandwich. She discovered she was starving, and Uncle Ralph seemed just as hungry. They ate without talking, but Chris realized this silence was nothing like gloomy silence of their first meal together. A couple of times, Uncle Ralph patted the pocket where he'd put the stamps for safekeeping. When the pie was gone and his cup had been filled for the second time, he leaned back with a sigh. "Now let's take another book," he said. He laid the next page. Stamps on the table again. "Do you realize how close we came to missing these?" he said. "If you weren't a comic book fan, for example, and if I hadn't left the right book in the dining room," Chris said. She was remembering an afternoon when she'd taken a couple of comics out of the end of the pier, and one of them had blown in the water while she sunbathed. "And if it weren't for Russell Charles," Uncle Ralph added, "poor little kid, caught up in a mystery he didn't want any part of." "I wonder what he'll do now," Chris said. "And what's going to happen to the awful Dixon? Do you think he's going to go thumping and raging through the house forever and ever?" Uncle Ralph slid the stamps back into their envelope. "All I'm sure of," he said, "is that we're not going back tonight to find out." Then he leaned across the table and raised an eyebrow at Chris. "Unless, of course, you insist on it, Christina. I'll go if you want to. We aim to please." Now we in the final chapter. Chapter 16. Pass up in the back you made this final video. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notification. And say something in the comments if you want to. Till tomorrow when we get in the final chapter of Christina Ghost. And then the day after that, we start our second read on the channel. W.